Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you my highlighting and contouring routine. This is something that I do on a regular basis. It's just a great way to really accentuate your face, especially if you're going, on a night out or for a special occasion. So I'm going to show you how I do my everyday contouring, and if you want to see this video, then please keep watching. So I'm not going to be showing you my foundation highlighting routine because I do put a little highlighting into my foundation by just placing a lighter color of concealer down the center of my face and under my eyes. But I'm not going to be showing that today. I'm only going to be showing how to contour after foundation. Now, one thing you got to remember, if you're going to be using creams to contour and highlight and blush and all that, you want to make sure that you never put a cream after powder. Never, ever, 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 ever put a cream after powder. That is the number one rule. You really don't want to do that because what will happen is you want your makeup to stay long and you want it to look as best as possible. So when you put a cream on top of a powder, it's going to cake up and it's actually going to break up during the day and it's just going to be a hot mess, and you don't want to do that. With the method I'm going to be using today, I'm not going to be using cream products just because I feel like they're harder to work with for beginners, and so I'm going to be working with powder products. And when you're working with powders, I really don't recommend, especially if you have dry to normal skin, not to powder the entire face. I know a lot of people say to powder the entire face to make the foundation last longer, but you're already going to be putting powder on your face because of the contour, highlight, blush products that you're going to be putting on are powder. So you don't want to cake on that powder and make everything look cakey. It's just not the best plan. So today I'm going to be using my Physicians Formula Shimmer Strip in Miami Strip. This is a fantastic highlighter from the drugstore, and I'm also going to be using my Too Faced Chocolate Solei Milk Bronzer, and this is from Sephora, so low end, high end. I will have some options down below though if you are looking to pick up some drugstore contour shades, or even if you don't necessarily want to spend the, I think, $13 on this one, I will have some other alternatives for you down below, so make sure to check that out. So personally, I always like to start with the contour. Now, what I do is I use a brush like this. I feel like this is the absolute easiest to work with. So I'm going to take it, and I actually like to take the very tip, as you can see it's slanted, I like to take the very tip of the brush and just dip it in this product. So like I said, I'm just going to dip it in there, and this is very pigmented, so I'm not going to use a lot. And I'm going to suck in my cheeks. That's what a lot of people tend to do, is just suck in their cheeks, and they can see the line. Now, I don't have very defined cheekbones, and some of you may not either. So another trick you can do is go from the top of your ear, see the top of my ear right here? Sorry, you really see it. Right here to the corner of my mouth. So that right there is going to be my contour line. And if you have a little trouble still seeing it, you can always just press and find your cheekbone. So I'm going to find the cheekbone right there, and I'm just going to make a little line. Oops, I didn't put enough on there. I'm just going to make a little line like that. Can you see that? So if I want a little more, I'll just keep placing it down. Now, the whole idea of a contour is you want it to be the darkest further from the face and lightest inward, because the center of the face should be lit up. That's what should be highlighted, while the outer realms of the face should be contoured. So you don't want it to be the same darkness all the way through, because then it won't look as natural as you can make it. We are just going to make a line, and then I'm going to go ahead and pack it straight onto the brush, and I'm going to start at the very outer part of my face. Now, as you can see, I'm putting it so the bottom of the brush doesn't pass that line, because even if that line is going to be a little harsh at first, we don't want to pass it, because that's when our contour starts to go down and our face just comes, the lift that we're trying to do in our face just kind of melts away and goes down, and it doesn't look as nice. So we're going to place the brush right there, and I'm going to start patting. And I can actually feel my cheekbone as I do this. And I'm just using a light motion, and as you're a beginner and doing this, you don't have to pack on a bunch of product, because then it can tend to be a mess and hard to remove, and yeah, so just start with just little product at a time, and you can even slide it around a little bit and go back and forth patting it. Patting will apply more product, while sliding will work more at blending. So you can first pat and then blend. And as you can see, I'm going in this motion. I'm not going like this because as I still have product on it, I don't want to swirl it around everywhere. I don't want it to get anywhere but that exact contour line. So I'm going to keep doing that, and again, focusing the most darkness on the outer part of my face. It also helps to kind of move your mouth away, like that. Just, I don't even know why it helps. It kind of tightens up the area to make a nice clean, slate to actually put the product on. That's probably why I do it, but you don't have to do it. And you can always go back in, go with the tip, and darken up that bottom part, because that bottom line is supposed to be the definite shadow that, this is where the cheekbone comes in. But you want to blend it out so it doesn't look as harsh. So that's why there's color above it. And also when you're blending in, I just don't recommend blending past the center of your pupil downward. Right here, you don't want to blend past that, because when you bring the contour all the way in around your cheek, it can look super harsh and it can just be really unflattering on the face. So you don't want to bring your contour in too far. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and then I'll start to buff upwards. I'm going to actually buff towards the temples. And the reason you want to do this is even if you don't feel like your temples need a lot of contouring, maybe your forehead's not very big, you want to even out the contour all around the face, because if you're going to just put it on one area, it can still look really harsh. So you want to make sure you put it all around the face. Even if you're not full on contouring all of the face, just the cheekbones, you still want to place the product everywhere, if that makes sense. So I'm mainly dragging the product I had here to here, but you can also add a little bit more. You don't want this to be too dark though. And if your forehead you feel is too large, you can place it right underneath your hairline, not too far down because you want it to look unnatural again, but you can place it just right here to make your forehead look shorter. And you don't want to neglect this area. What I like to tell people is to go in a 3. So you're basically contouring a 3. So your temples, cheekbones, and jaw. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go down to the jaw. I'm going to start by the ear, and I'm just going to contour that. Now if you have a really defined jaw, you don't have to do this, but I feel like it can be very flattering, especially in photos. And then of course you want to always drag that contour downward. Now the reason I like to do bronzer before blush is because I actually feel like the blush actually helps blend out the bronzer. So if you had a little bit of trouble, don't worry too much. And if you did blend a little too far down, what you can do is take your brush that you applied your foundation with. I actually used a beauty blender, so I'll be using this. And you can just pat underneath that contour to clean it up. Now you don't want to make a harsh line because again, it's not going to be as appealing and it's going to be more obvious that you contoured, but you just want to clean it up so that it doesn't look like you brought the color down too far and dragged it down. And so that is the effect you get from it. As you can see, it looks really nice and lifted and it's not too obvious. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to do it off camera, but if you do ever have trouble making them symmetrical, which don't laugh because it does happen. It does happen. You can make your cheekbones unsymmetrical. I think that's a word. Kind of like your eyeliner. So what I like to do is I actually like to look down in a mirror and I like to make that face, and you can really see where the cheekbones are and you can tell where exactly to put the contour on the other side. If that helps at all, I would really recommend trying that, but I'll be right back. So as you can see, I finished this side, and you want to also make sure you have the same amount of color on each side. I did not mention this, but it's really personal. I feel like contouring can be for anybody on the outer realms of the face, but contouring on your nose can be really tricky. A lot of people recommend doing it with a little brush. I actually don't. I feel like it's really easy for your foundation to break up and kind of turn red on you from the removal of foundation, from vigorously trying to blend out a nose contour. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then that's okay, but I recommend if you want to contour your nose, which can be very, it can be very beautiful. You want to take a touch, just a touch, of the bronzer on the tip of the brush like I said before. And I even wipe it off sometimes because you really don't want to go in with a lot of contour in your nose. You want it to be super light. I like to look at a mirror that's far away, and I'll just look down. And as you can see the most inner part of my eyebrows down. That's where I want to sculpt. I want to sculpt out my nose to look thinner and longer and more rounded off at the tip. So what I like to do is I like to look down, and I like to just place it right there, and right there, and I'm done. Now I know that wasn't very precise and that may not work for everybody, but I don't feel like contouring is absolutely necessary on your nose. And if you don't really know how to contour your nose, you don't know how to do the method I just used, you can always just brush it on. It's fine. Don't go packing on a bunch of color because that will look obvious, but if you want to just pack on a little bit of color on the outer parts just so that the bridge of the nose looks the most light, then that's completely fine. You did not do it wrong. Alright, so we're finished with the contouring. I'm going to do blush next. Now blush, I'm just going to give a little tip for blush. Today I'm going to be using the L'Oreal True Match blush in Baby Blossom. This is a fantastic blush. I actually like to use this kind of brush. It's like a flat kabuki, but it doesn't have as much density to it. You can use a brush like this too for a blush. That is completely fine. I always recommend taking your blush and putting it all the way back here. So you want to blend from the apple of your cheek, which you can find by smiling, all the way back here. And that will not only help blend out the contour, but it will give an extra lift to the face. So you don't want to stop it right here. You want to accentuate that contour and really go with it. Alright, now we're going to go on to a highlight. Highlight is really your preference, but I feel like on everybody, the best kind of highlight is one that it will have a gleam to it. So if you can see this, how it has a gleam when it hits the light, that's what you want. You don't want one that's going to have glitters and shimmers and be chunky, because it's not going to look natural whatsoever, and it's not going to give you that wet, beautiful kind of glowy look to your skin. Sorry, I dropped it. But this strip I like in particular because you can use each one of these shades individually. Probably not this one, especially if you're light like me. You can blend all of them together, only use a few, only use one. It's just a lot of versatility with this one, and I really recommend it. It's just from the drugstore anyway. But for today, I'm just going to mix all of them together, and when you mix all of them together, it just gives a nice gold shade. I'm going to tap off the excess. You don't want to put on too much highlighter on your skin because it can look really unnatural. It can really draw too much attention to the face. And I want to say something, even if you have oily skin, you can still highlight. Just make sure that you're controlling your oil so that it doesn't break through, and you can still put on a highlight and it can still look really beautiful and like you're gleaming from within. I feel like it's the perfect touch to any makeup look, and it photographs beautifully. So I'm going to take a brush like this. It's just kind of a tapered, fluffy brush. You can use a duo fiber brush like this. e.l.f. sells one. This is actually the e.l.f. one. And so you don't have to use, you know, a crazy fancy brush. I'm going to start at the, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm going to start at the arch of my eyebrow, and I'm going to see down to my cheekbone. So I'm going to go in that motion. Now I recommend putting the most highlight on your actual cheekbone, so you don't necessarily have to start right here. I would more recommend starting right here. And so you can either put it face down like that, just the point on your face, or you can even go like this. I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to, again, kind of follow that rule where stopping right here. But if you do like the way that it looks on the actual apple of the cheek, which I absolutely love it, but it again is not for everyone, then you can actually drag it onto the apple of the cheek too. You want to put it right at the highest point of your cheekbone. You don't want to put it on your under eye circles. You want to put it right on the top of the cheekbone and no higher or no lower. And then you want to join it with the top of the arch of your brow. So you want to just go in that C form. And then you can blend it out a tiny bit, but most of the time highlights don't need to be blended out. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to place it on my cheekbone, a little bit on my cheeks, and then I'm just going to join it with the top of the arch of my brow. And then if you want, you can also place a little bit on your Cupid's bow that will make your lips look a little bit bigger. And you can put it a little bit on the bridge of the nose. You can put it on the forehead and chin. I just don't really recommend doing that, especially because I already have highlight there from my concealer, and I just feel like it can be a little bit too much, especially in flash photography. You can always put your highlight too, you know, in the center of your lips, on the inner corners, on your brow bone. There's a lot you can do with the highlight. You only have to put it where I just talked about, but it is so beautiful. As you can see, can you see the shine that it gives? It's so pretty, and like I love this because it does give a gleam, whereas another product, a chunky shimmery one, when you turn your head you would just see a bunch of sparkles and it wouldn't be as beautiful and natural. So that is it for this tutorial. I really hope you guys liked it and try it out. I know I haven't given a highlight and contouring video in a while, and I hope this was nice and in-depth for you. I hope it wasn't too long, but yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I love all of you. Bye!